You can now add Club Crochet to your phone's home screen for the full web app experience. Learn more at clubcrochet.com/app. Hey there, it's Louie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a little tiny pirate hat that you can add to the top of your amigurumi. I really like this pattern because it is really quick to make and easy. We're going to be learning how to make the pirate hat itself and the eye patch, as well as how to customize your pirate hat by adding a stripe of embroidered lines or a little skull made out of felt. Yeah, it's a pretty easy pattern, so we might as well just jump right into it. For this pattern, you're going to need the following materials. I'm using all worsted weight yarn in 100% cotton, as I usually do. That will give you a pirate hat about this big. Now you can use larger yarn if you'd like. You can use bulky yarn. You could probably get a hat about that big by using bulky yarn. Or you can even use embroidery thread and make a really tiny pirate hat if you'd like. Whatever kind of yarn you use, make sure you have a crochet hook that works well with it. For me, I'm going to be using a size G 4mm crochet hook just because it works best with my worsted weight cotton yarn, but whatever yarn you use, make sure your crochet hook works well with it. For colors, normally I make the hats black and the eye patches brown, and then I use a secondary color for the hat to add just a stripe along the outside. I like using either yellow or red, but for this tutorial, because black is kind of hard to see in this light box, I'm going to be making my new pirate hat in brown instead. You also will want some felt. I personally really like using felt with a sticky back. So you can find this at your local hobby store, and it's just simple felt on one side, and then on the back it's got like sticky, it's like sticky like a little sticker. So it's really easy to apply it to the whatever you want to apply it to, and it stays on really well. I just like it a lot more than using hot glue because it just cuts out a whole another section where you have to hot glue it on and stuff like that. Now, whatever you decide to add your skull with, you will want a nice pair of scissors. I like using a really tiny pair of scissors because it helps me cut out as much detail as I can out of the felt. Yeah, you can also embroider a skull on with white yarn if you'd like to instead. And then of course you'll need a darning needle. I like using a crimped end darning needle like this, and this is just going to be to hide the ends and to sew it onto the head of whatever you're making. Oh, and you'll need something to sew it onto. I really like these little squids. This is my new pattern that I just came out with, but I don't have any octopi yet with a pirate hat, so we're going to add it to this little octopus that I made in my last tutorial for an octopus, just because I just think it'd be so perfect. And then the last thing before we get hooking, if you like this video, please like down below and subscribe to the channel. I come out with new tutorials all the time just like this, and if you stay to the end of the video, I'll show you some other hats that I have tutorials for that you might really like to add to the tops of your amigurumi as well. All right, well, without further ado, let's get hooking. We're going to start by making the hat itself. Okay, like I said, we're going to be using brown yarn instead of our black yarn today, and we're going to start with a magic loop. Now, if you've never made the magic loop before, here is how you do it. I like pinching it down with my thumb and middle finger with the yarn facing downwards towards the ground, and then I go around my index and middle finger twice and make an X on the front and 2 parallel lines on the back. I then take, oopsies, let's try that again. There we go. And I then take this end here, place it in between my ring and pinky finger, and then close it in like that. And now it's ready to work with. I like using my crochet hook, facing it back towards me, and then I go under the first bar with my crochet hook, and then hook onto the second bar, and then pull that second bar under the first and loop it in like that to make a little loop. Now you go over the first bar and hook onto the second one. You might need your index finger to help guide it onto the crochet hook. And then you can pull this through the loop on the hook like that to create a chain. And that will create a magic loop that you can now pull off of your fingers. Now when you pull this tail end, it should tighten it a little bit. We're going to make it about about that big, just enough to work into. Now I do have a brand new tutorial for a magic loop if you want to learn a secondary way and why I prefer one way over another. You can find links to everything that I'm talking about in the description or right here in the little cards on the corner. Okay. Now for round 1 of our pirate hat, we're going to be working 6 single crochets into the magic loop. So we're going to take your crochet hook, we're going to go into the center of the loop, yarn over with the end attached to the ball and pull that through, and then yarn over the magic loop and pull through the 2 loops on the hook to create a single crochet. This pattern is going to be made primarily with single crochets with some double crochets and half double crochets, which I'll show you later. So knowing this stitch is really important. If you need a tutorial for that, again, I have links in the description. So we want to put 6 single crochets into this magic loop. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's going to be the end of round 1. Now we can pull this tail end to tighten it closed. And this pattern is worked in a spiral without turning, so you never have to turn for the entire piece. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use this little stitch marker here just to keep track of where the ends of the round are. So I'm just going to place it into the top of my last stitch and lock it in there, and then we can continue around. And like I said, you're working around in a spiral without turning, so you don't ever need to turn for this pattern. Okay, so for round 2, we want to do a single crochet into the first stitch and then an increase into the next stitch. And then we'll repeat that process all the way around 3 times total, which will bring you up from 6 stitches to 9 stitches. For the first stitch, I like to work around my tail end just so it doesn't come loose. So I'm going to go into our first stitch that we made in round 1 right here, so that we're under both loops. And we're going to place our tail end over the crochet hook like that, yarn over, pull through the loop, and then single crochet 1 working around this tail end just so it's locked into place. That's good. We can just do 1 stitch and then we can leave it to the side. And again, the repeat that we're going to be doing is 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. So 1, 2, and 3 is going to be an increase, aka 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch and repeat it all the way around. So let's do our second repeat. 1 single crochet and then in the next stitch an increase. 2 and 3. That's going to be our 6th stitch. Now we have 1 more of those repeats. 1 single crochet. Let's pull this stitch marker out for our last stitch. And an increase into this last one right here. 1 and 2. And that should bring you up to 9 stitches around. I'll pull this tail end out a little bit and add our stitch marker. Okay, that's the end of round 2. For round 3, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets and then an increase. So the same as last round, except we're adding 1 more single crochet before we get to increases. And then we're going to repeat that 3 times around till we get to the end of the round. So let's do our first repeat, 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then an increase into the next right here. 3, 4. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So let's do our second repeat. 1, 2 single crochets, and then an increase right here. Boom, and a boom. This is going to bring you up from 9 stitches to 12 stitches at the end of the round. For our last repeat here, 2 more single crochets. 1, 2, and then an increase into this last one. 3, and 4, which should be 12 stitches around, and now you have this little bump there. Okay, that's going to be the end of round 3. Now for round 4, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to be turning. What we want to do is we want to start by slip stitching into the next stitch right here. This is going to be the start of the round. So slip stitch 1. And then we're going to turn our piece and chain 1, like so. And now we're going to skip the chain, and we're going to skip the slip stitch, and then we're going to work into the back loops only, which would mean the loop furthest away from you. So after you've turned, we're going to skip the chain, skip the slip stitch, and then we're going to work only in the back loop only, just that back part right there. And we're going to work into the back loops only for this entire round, so only into these back loops. Okay, so not this one, not both of them like that, but only in the back loop. Okay. So again, we slip stitched, turned, chained one, skip the chain, skip the slip stitch, and starting in the first stitch made right here, or the first stitch right there, we're going to start with a single crochet. So single crochet 1, and then we'll do a half double crochet into the next stitch. For a half double crochet, we yarn over, we go into the next stitch. Again, it's the back loop only. Then yarn over again and pull through that stitch, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook, like so. So 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet. Now into the next 2 stitches, we want to do a double crochet increase, meaning we want to put 2 double crochets into both of these stitches. Let's start with the first one right here. For a double crochet, we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch right here, again, back loop only, yarn over again, and pull through the stitch, yarn over again, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and pull through the last 2 loops on the hook. And that's going to be a double crochet. Now we want to put a double crochet increase into this stitch, meaning that we want to put 2 double crochets into one place. So let's do another double crochet into the exact same stitch. We yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. There you go. So a single crochet, half double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into one stitch for a double crochet increase. Now we want to do another double crochet increase into the next stitch. So 2 double crochet increases in a row. So let's do our second double crochet increase. Yarn over, go into the next stitch right here in the back loop only, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. There's our first double crochet of our double crochet increase. Let's do another one. Into the same stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay. Now into the next stitch, after we've finished our 2 double crochet increases, we want to do a half double crochet. So we yarn over, into the next stitch, pull through all 3. Then we want to do 2 single crochets in a row. So that's pretty easy. 1 single crochet and 2. And then we want to repeat that process we wanted to start from the single crochet, but we want to repeat this process of doing single crochet, half double, double crochet increase, half double crochet, single crochet, and we want to repeat that twice. Now we've already done our first stitch, which is our single crochet. So next we want to do our half double crochet into the next stitch. So single, half double, then 2 double crochet increases in a row. So yarn over, into the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2 for a double crochet, and do another one into the same stitch. Into the stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2. There's 1 double crochet increase. We want 2 of those. So let's do into the next stitch right here. Pull through 2, pull through 2. There's the first double crochet of our second double crochet increase in our second repeat. Let's do another one into the same stitch. Okay. And then we want to do a half double crochet into the next. So yarn over. Here's our half double crochet increase, or half double crochet, sorry, not increase. And then our last stitch right here, we want to do 1 more single crochet. This is the same stitch that you slip stitched into, but we want to only work in the back loop right here and do our last single crochet into that stitch. There we go. Again, okay, so let's repeat. Let me explain this round one more time now that we've already had it finished. Okay, so we start by doing a slip stitch into the first stitch. We chained 1 and turned around. Then we did this repeat twice. We single crocheted 1, worked all in the back loop only. We single crocheted 1, half double crocheted 1, double crocheted increased 2, which is 4 stitches total because there's 1 double crochet, 2 into the first one, 1, 2 into the next one, then a half double crochet, and then a single crochet. And we repeated that process one more time. Single crochet, half double crochet increase, half double crochet, and then a single crochet into the same stitch that you slip stitched into at the beginning of this round. Okay, I know that's a pretty complicated round, but we're coming to the end of our hat now, and I really like looking at it from the top here. I think you can make a really cool looking eyeball with this. I don't know. Just an idea. Okay, now we are on to round 5, which is going to be our last round. Let's grab our stitch marker just so we can keep track of where our very last single crochet was. Okay, now you don't need to chain or do any slip stitching or anything like that. We're back to working in the round, so we're going to continue working in the round. We don't need to turn at all. And we're going to start into our first stitch that we made, our very first single crochet we made last round right here. And we're going to do a single crochet into that stitch. There's one single crochet. So we want to do 3 single crochets total, or 3 single crochets in a row. So there's 1, here's our next stitch right here. And now we're working into both loops too. Okay, we don't need to only work in the back loops anymore. We can work into both loops now. And we want 3 single crochets in a row. So there's 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's our third. And now we want to do 2 increases in a row, which means 2 single crochets in the same stitch 2 times. So 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. Here's our first double crochet increase. 3 single crochets, and then here's our next increase right here. So 2 single crochets in the next. There's 1 and 2 worked in the same stitch. So 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, increase, and then another increase right here. Okay, which means 2 single crochets in the same space. And now we want to do 3 more single crochets, and then we want to repeat that one more time. So 3 more single crochets. So increase, increase, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's almost the end of this first repeat. The very last thing we want to do for this repeat is we want to do a mini picot. For a mini picot, that's what it's really called. I usually call it a mini picot, but it is, I think, technically called a mini picot. You want to chain 2, yarn over, pull through for chain 1, chain 2, and then working into the back loop of your first chain, you want to slip stitch 1. Now, if you look at your chains, you'll see we have this is going to be the top loop. Down here, right here, is going to be the bottom loop. And then if you look at the back here, you'll see these little spine loops right there. These are going to be the back loops, and you want to work into the second one from the hook. So not this one, but right here. So you want to work into that stitch and do a slip stitch. So you chain 2 and slip stitch into the second chain from the hook right here. And I usually need my nail to help me guide it into that stitch. And then we can yarn over, pull through, and pull through for a mini picot. Okay. All right, so that's the repeat. We want to do 3 single crochets, 2 increases, 3 single crochets, and a mini picot. And we want to do that one more time to get to the end of the round here. So 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 2 increases in a row. There's 1 and 2 for our first increase, and 1 and 2 for our second increase, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, let's get our stitch marker out for this last one, and then 3, and then our mini picot. So chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch into the first chain that you made, working into the back loop of the chain right here. I like using my nail to help guide it in, and then slip stitch 1. Boom. Boom. Okay. Now to finish up our pirate hat, we want to do a slip stitch into the next stitch right here, like that. And then we can cut our yarn. You want to leave a pretty long end, about that long's probably fine, and just pull it all the way through. That was a pretty long end, I gotta say. Okay, and then the last bit that we want to do after making our slip stitch is we want to do we want to hide this end into the back of the next stitch. So we're going to thread it onto our needle. And we're going to go in through the back of the next stitch right here, like so. And then you want to go back down through where this end is coming out of. So you can kind of see where it's coming out right here. I want to go back into there and then into some of the stitches. And you want to come out through the base about right there. And try not to tug it too tight. We're basically trying to mimic the top of these single crochets, so it's hard to tell where the end of the rounds are, or the end of this slip stitch and hiding the end is. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see where the end is. Okay, and that's going to be how you crochet the pirate hat. Now, when we sew it onto the head, we're going to use all these front loops from round 4 or round 3 that we didn't use before. We want to work into those to sew it onto the head. But you can see how it makes a little tiny pirate hat. Okay. Now let's add a little bit of detail to our pirate hat. The first thing I want to add is let's try embroidering a line around the outside. And you can see what that looks like on this pirate hat here. You can see how I've embroidered the end. Now you can embroider this however you'd like to, but I do have a very specific way that I personally like doing it. First you want to get some of a different color yarn. I'm going to be using gold. And thread that onto your needle. And what I like to do is we want to start by hiding the end of where this gold is so that we have something to hide it into at the end. So I'm going to start by coming out, actually we're going to come out through where the start is right here. We're going to come in through the bottom and hide it on the inside a little bit. And we want to come out through the top of our first stitch right there. See, so it's kind of hidden in the back there. This is just going to give us something to knot together at the end to keep this hidden. You just want a little bit of it sticking out. Okay, what you want to do is this is just how I find is the easiest way, is to go into the next stitch under these 2 loops like so. And then just keep doing that all the way around. So I come out through the back of the next stitch. And it's going to create a gap in your stitches, but we're going to go around twice to cover that gap up. See, so we're making just little dotted lines all the way around. And when you see, the tricky part might be when it comes to the mini picots at the corners here. That can be a little bit tricky to figure out, but I'll show you how to do the first one in just a second. Okay, and I like coming out through right there. And we'll cover it up when we come back around. You can come out through the very center right there and then go back down through the next one if you want the line to kind of go up and then around. But I like the line to go kind of straight at the edge right there, so I kind of go through right there through our next stitch and just skip the mini picot, because when we come back around we'll go like that. And I'm just going to keep going around till I come to the very start of my hat. Ooh, there we go. And really quick, as I'm getting to the start of my hat again, if you like this video, please again like and subscribe down below. It really helps the channel out. And if you really like my work, consider becoming a Club Crochet member. Members get early access to all of my future videos. They get access to my full library of tutorials. So if you're checking out my YouTube channel, that's only maybe a third of all the tutorials that I've made. And that's because I come out with a lot more tutorials for membership accounts. So if you have a membership, I come out with a bunch more tutorials, each of which with a full video tutorial included and a PDF tutorial as well. And memberships start at only $5 a month, and you can even get monthly kits mailed to your door each month with all the materials that you need to make whatever we're making that month. Okay, so now I'm near the end of my piece, so I'm just going to come out through this one right here. And then when I come back around, I want to go into the back, so I'm covering up the parts where I'm missing ends. See, so I want to cover up all these other ends with yarn so that it's a perfect line. But what I really stress is that you want it to continually go around so that the end is being sewn on the same way. What does that mean? That means that you want to go through the top of where this next thread is. Make sure that you're aiming at the top, not under it like that, but right over it like that. This will make more sense in a second as we keep going. So you want to enter through the top like that. And then when you come back out, you want to make sure that you're under the stitch like that. See? So that's going to make sure that it's under and over and under and over. So it looks really even as you're going around. And then when you go back through the next one, you'd go through the top. Now, if I went through the bottom, let's just do it really quick just so you can kind of see. See how it's kind of, it's kind of hard to see, but it is becoming a little bit uneven, and it becomes really obvious as you keep going if you keep doing that. It's not really the end of the world, to be honest. You could do that. It's not a big deal. It's just like I don't know, I guess like a pro tip. So we're going to pull this out, and I'm going to try that again, making sure that I'm over like that. Okay. And I'm just going to keep doing this all the way around until I get back to the start, and then I will hide this end into the bottom. Make sure that, remember, I'm going through the bottom of the next stitch to come out, and then through the top of it to go in. See how it's like, it's just looking more even that way. Bottom to come out, top to go in. Okay. And let me know if you have any questions for this in the description or in the comments down below. I am there ready to answer any questions. You can also reach out if you don't get any answers in the comments. You can also reach out on the Discord channel. We have a Discord channel which you can find at clubcrochet.com/discord, or a Facebook group, both of which are a great way to get help if you need any help. Now, when I come here, I'm just going to go through the top of this next one and skip our mini picot completely, and it's going to make our line kind of go straight across like so. And again, like I said, you can make it go up like that by going through this part instead, but we didn't do that in the first part, so I don't want to do it now. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a Facebook group that you can ask for help in, the Discord channel. What else? We also have an Instagram account. You can find that at club.crochet. And there's a Facebook page. And there's a subreddit. That's the other one. So if you want to check out us on Reddit, it's just reddit.com/r/clubcrochet. Okay, let's just keep going around. We're almost at the end here. And then I can show you how to make a skull to put onto the front of it, and then we can make our eye patch, and then we can, I guess we can sew it onto the head, or I can at least show you how to sew it onto the head. And oops, there we go. Okay, so we've made a stripe along the outside all the way around, and now with this end, we can go back in through the back loops, and we want to exit through the bottom, like there. And I like to pinch it, make sure everything looks right, and then I can just double knot these two and cut the end to keep it in place, because we're going to sew over this knot anyhow. Go 1 and 2. We'll just go ahead and cut that nice and close. Pretend it was never there. Okay, so there we go. Now we have our pirate hat with its embroidered line. And then the last thing I want to add is a skull on the front. Now, I know you can see this little knot here and you're like, oh, that knot's annoying. But don't worry, it's going to be sewn over, because this is how you're going to sew it on, is with all these ends. And so this is going to be hidden on the inside. Okay, so next up, we're going to be making our skull. And the skull can be pretty tricky to do, but we're going to start by cutting a little square out of our felt. This is bigger square than you really need, to be honest. And what I think is the best way to do this is start by making the eyes and then work around the eyes. So to make the eye, I'm just going to start by cutting 2 little holes in and just cut a little tiny hole. Now this does take effort, so you got to like be patient with it. There we go. I got 1 hole made. And you can still see the paper through it, but you can kind of see how I've made a little hole. So when the paper's gone, it shouldn't leave a little hole there. And we can clean it up a little bit later as well. And then we want to add another one over to the left of that right here. Again, we'll probably clean that up a little bit later. And then you want to add a nose in between the eyes. Here, let me just go ahead and poke through like this, so you can kind of see the eyes a little bit more, because the paper is kind of covering it up. It's kind of hard to see, but there's 2 eyes there. It's going to look a lot better when we get this off of the felt. But the next thing is we want to make a little triangle for a nose. Okay, again, it's kind of hard to see, but we'll fix it up a little bit later as well. And then the last bit is we want to cut out the skull shape itself. So I'm going to go up once like this, and then I'm going to go in a circle around them eyes. And then straight down like that to free it from the edge. And then we want to make some little teeth. So I'm just going to cut little triangles out. And personally, I think it's fine with just 3 teeth, but you can do more if you want to add more detail. So you see how I just made some barely little cutouts there. Let's see, and then I like to let's round the edge of the teeth just a little bit. Like that. Make sure we're going to go right there. We can make the teeth a little bit smaller, maybe? No. Well, yeah, let's make it's a little bit big for me, see? So I want to make it just a little bit tinier, and I think the best way to make that tinier is to make the teeth smaller, like that, and then recut the teeth. You also might want to make this end a little bit more round. Like that, and then let's add those teeth again. Okay, and then we want to add a little bit of roundness to the outside. Okay, now let's see how this goes. We can make some fixes on the face a little bit later as well. So we'll peel off the back there, because I think we're going to have to make some fixes to the nose. But let's add it to our hat first. And let's see, which side do we like more? I think I like this side a little bit more. So let's go ahead and put it right there. Like that. And then I'm just going to cut out more of the eyes. Now I do want to be very careful so I don't accidentally cut my yarn, but it should be pretty easy as long as you're safe, as long as you don't cut too deep. Do the same over here. The eyes a little bit more detail. Head out, and now that we definitely want some more detail on the nose. That's pretty good. We just really want it to be, well, we could do a little bit better than that, I think. Let's see if we can get just a little bit more out. So maybe it's a little bit more pointy. What would be nice is some tweezers. And this sticky yarn is hard to get, or sticky felt is kind of hard to get all that felt out there, which is why tweezers would be kind of nice. But that's not too bad. That's pretty all right. Yeah, I like it. You can tell it's a skull. I'll probably do a little bit of cleaning up with tweezers a little bit later though. All right, so now we have our pirate hat done. Let's go ahead and maybe we could sew this onto its head now, or should we make the eye patch? Let's go ahead and sew it on. So here's how you're going to sew on the eye patch, or the hat. You're gonna have two ends here, this smaller end and this longer end. This longer end is what we're mainly gonna be using for sewing it on, but let's start with this smaller end. Thread that onto a needle, and we're gonna start by going straight down through the center and coming out somewhere on the back like that. And that'll hold that should hold your skull or the hat in place more, and then we can add, we can sew on the rest of it. Now when we're sewing this on, the important thing to note is that you only want to use these back loops that are all sticking out there to sew it on. And I like to hold it into place like this, and then find our first stitch like that, and then come out through the next one right here. And then go through the back loops like that, in and then out. And then, see, so the tricky part here with this hat is that we want it to be kind of more a little bit flat than rounded. So we kind of want to, see how I went through there? I kind of want to make it straight. So let's go through that one and then come back out here and then here. So it's more like straight across the head if we can. Sewing things together can be a little bit tricky, but I really like that it adds a lot of, you know, creativity to your piece. Let's keep going. Let's see, we only have a few more here. We'll go one more over right here. Like that, and you can see how it's being sewn onto the head now. Okay, so what I'm gonna keep doing is I'm just gonna keep working into using these back loops and going around the head, and I'm gonna come back around here, and then I'll show you how to finish it up. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this really quick, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, just a few more stitches here, and I want to come out through this last one. And then make sure that this yellow bit is hidden in there. Work around the last end, which is right there. And then I want to come out through the same end that we came out through with the first tail end. Like that. Gonna kind of tweak and squish it, and then we can double knot these on the back to hide this end in. 1 and 2. Yar. Okay. So we got our pirate hat sewn on there. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide that end in there. And we got our pirate head there. Now, you can also use your needle to just kind of clean out the eyes a little bit. Maybe open the nose a little bit, make it look more piratey. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to add an eye patch. So, back to our crochet hook. We'll put this guy to his side. Grab your yarn, and we're going to start with a magic loop. Now you want a somewhat longer end this time, so we're going to have it a little bit long and make our magic loop. And into the magic loop, we want to do the following stitches. You want to do 2 single crochets and then a half double crochet, and repeat that one more time. So 2 single crochets, go into this loop. There's 1, 2, and now a half double crochet. So we yarn over into the loop, pull through all 3. So 2 single crochets and a half double crochet, and then we want to do that one more time. 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and a half double. So over, into, pull, and pull through. And now we can pull this nice and tight. And then the last thing you want to do is slip stitch into the first stitch that you made right here. Okay, and we can cut the yarn. You want to leave a pretty long end, just like that, and pull it through. And with this one tail end that we've just slip stitched on, we're good. You can hide the end if you'd like to make it a little bit more of a hidden end, like we did at the end of our pirate hat, but I don't think that's really too necessary. With this other end, we want to thread it onto our needle and come out through the stitch across like that. So now you have something to sew it on with. Now you can sew this onto the eye a little bit first by going in through the side of the eye, out through the other side, and then like kind of just sewing it on a little bit. But you don't really need to do that too much. Well, you know what? I should do it just so you can see. So I'm going to go in through this side and then out through the other side of the eye like that. And then I'm going to come out through our first stitch, our last stitch right there. And then with this other end, we're going to do the same thing the opposite way. So we're going to go, I'm going to go ahead and go in through the back loop here, and I'm going to go in through this side of the eye and then out through the other side of the eye right here. Now, usually I do this on eyes that don't have such big eyeballs, so it's kind of sticking out a little bit, but that's okay. Now, I could sew it on just a little bit more down here to really hide it if I wanted. Like this part could be sewn down right here a little bit. Yeah, we can do that. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and come out through the bottom. If I can, I'm having a tough time. There we go. Just because that eyeball, you can see it poking out through there. I don't really want that, so let's go ahead and sew this on just a little bit cleaner. Go through there, back down through the next stitch, and I'll come back out, and then come out through the other end right here. Okay, tweak it, and then come up so that it's coming out of the eye patch. That's what's important. There we go. And then now what we need to do is sew this onto the face. So the best way, I mean, you can just come around. Actually, we could just come around and then come in through one side of a stitch and out through the next side of the stitch like that. And then with the other end, thread it on a needle. And what I really like to do with this other end is go around, because we want it to go around like that, so it's a little bit high up. But it might, if we don't like hide it into the ends here, it might like slip down and be like down here. And we don't really want that. That's not an eye patch, you know? So what we want to do is we want to go in through a stitch on the side of the head and come out, and then go around and back through the same spot like that. And that'll just anchor it down so that it points up. See? And then we'll come back down. We'll come out, or we'll go in through where this last tail end's coming out, and out through where it went in on the other side right here. And now we'll have 2 spots here that we can use to just double knot these 2 ends together. one. And 2. Now we can cut the ends. I like to have the ends cut on the outside so it actually looks like it's tied on. And then tweak and stretch and skew and poke so that everything's the way we want it to be. And there we go. We have a little pirate octopus. Isn't he cute? Oh my God, ready to sail the 8 seas. Not the 7 seas because he's got 8 legs. All right, well, if you like that video, please, again, like and subscribe down below. Let me know if you have any questions for the skull. I really like this skull a little bit more. It's a little bit more cartoony, a little bit bigger. I like it a lot. Okay, go ahead and place that to the side. And if you want some other hat tutorials, we have a bunch more. There is a cute little sailor hat version right here, and a top hat version. And then I also have a chef hat version. So you can see I really like adding hats to my octopi. If you want to find more of these hat tutorials, you can either find them on my YouTube channel. I'll put links right around here, or you can find them by going to clubcrochet.com/hat. And I will have all my tutorials for different kinds of hats there. If you have a hat that you would like me to make, if you would like a specific kind of hat that you would like me to make a tutorial for, please let me know in the description of this video or in the comments down below, and I will be taking requests for my next hat. I was kind of thinking either like a witch's hat maybe would be fun, or maybe like a bowler cap. I actually have a bowler cap that I made. So I don't have a tutorial for either of these yet, but if you would like one, please comment down below. So we got a little fez hat and a little bowler cap, stuff like that. All right, well, thanks again. If you like this video, again, please like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, bye. Let's have this guy sign us off by going, yarr.